it doesn't matter that you paid a bunch of money because you wanted a nice new looking camper. I'm not picky about everything. Hairline cracks in the door, screen door and the door don't close together and open together like they're supposed to. And every time it would go to Camping World, things would get worse. Not just a little worse, a lot worse. I bought the RV on July 21st of 2020 and then went straight for New Mexico. I was heading towards Las Vegas to see my daughter, and got to New Mexico and I started noticing some cracks, hairline cracks in the door. I say a few minor things, and what I did was file with Forest River under the warranty program to get those things fixed. And at the time, COVID was going on, so there was a lot of problems getting appointments, but actually we haven't gotten to that point yet. So when I filed with Forest River, Steve Hall is the guy that I mentioned in my review. He's the one that approves or disapproves warranty work and stuff for Forest River. And right away, he started disapproving the work that I had on there. And I was a little confused about that because my list was really kind of short compared to most of the lists that I had seen on different reviews and things like that. Most of the trim and things like that were falling, I did a lot of fixing myself. So my list for warranty work was pretty short. They were things that I couldn't do myself. And again, everything started getting denied right away. So I had to go through the Better Business Bureau and spent 2 or 3 months arguing back and forth of what was acceptable and not acceptable. And we finally came to a conclusion of what Forest River agreed to do. And so I made the appointment, came back from New Mexico to Pennsylvania, was the place that I made the appointment in Pennsylvania, and found a campground near that. Camping World is where it was. So this is actually kind of a complaint against Camping World and Forest River, but it falls under Forest River because Forest River is the one that sets up the work and tells you where to go get it fixed. So for the next, about 2 years, a little under that, possibly, it went back and forth to Camping World. I'm going to say 4 or 5 times over that period. They would order wrong parts. Some parts couldn't get in. A lot of problems. They didn't know what they were doing with the computer system. So it would go back and forth from the campground because they didn't want to leave it at the shop. So we went through this, like I said, for about 2 years, and every time it would go to Camping World, things would get worse. Not just a little worse, a lot worse. The seals that they put around the what do you call them, slide outs, they weren't as good as the ones that came with the camper. They were a little flimsier. And then we found out that there were several issues that I didn't even realize, like this slide that I'm in had to be adjusted. The door had to be adjusted, and there was all this different stuff that was going wrong. So Forest River agreed to come pick it up, bring it out, and have everything fixed. And again, this wasn't until, I believe it was the beginning of June of this year, maybe the month before, but it was this year. They took it out there, came and picked it up, took it out there for about a month and possibly a week, and worked on it, brought it back to me, and right away I could see that not much had changed, if anything. So right away, I tried the doors behind me here. I tried the door right away. Lots of problems with the door sticking. The same problems that it came from the manufacturer with. And that's what caused the paint to crack on the door in the first place. So I called Forest River back right away and talked to Jeremy, the warranty manager, I guess it is, which will be under C, who sets up all this stuff. And I asked him quite upfront, he had explained to me that there was a very extensive inspection that goes on after they work on it. And so I thought they would work on it, then it would go over to an inspection, and then they would decide if it's good to send it on or not. And he said, yes, he did look at it. In fact, the pictures and stuff that they had shows that the door was working fine and everything. So I sent him videos and pictures, and all of a sudden everything changed. They wanted me to bring it back to them right away, and to be right away. And I explained to him I had some doctor's appointments and stuff going on. I've got a tumor in my ear and some things going on that I needed to get in and get done. And I got pressured to bring it in. They promised that they would reimburse everything and the gas in the hotel. So I did. I went ahead and went up there. So I was up there over the 4th of July weekend, and they started working on it. Jeremy was supposed to meet me that Tuesday morning, and the reason he wanted me to bring it was so that we could actually talk about all the things, because it had gotten so convoluted over the years, all the stuff that had been done over and over again. And he didn't think there was any way to really figure it out unless he and I were sitting there. So I showed up on that Tuesday. He had called in sick, so he and I never got to talk. I talked to another lady and another gentleman who I gave the all the things that were wrong and showed them everything and let them begin working. And they called me, like I said, it was about a week and a couple of days, about a week later, to come pick it up. I got up there to pick it up, and when I pull in, I see them working on the door again. And there was a lady that's there that said she was trying to help me get through this thing and get my reimbursements and all that kind of stuff. And she pulled me aside and said, he's working on the door again, because when I went to go in and check everything, I couldn't get in the door. So that gave me a clue that already, I'm there to pick it up and they're still working on the door. And I went through all the little details with them, not just with the door, but other things. There was silicone smeared all over the place. The door's the main issue, though. So they put a new frame in to accommodate. The door was hitting the frame again, and they put a new frame in. Long story short, I didn't know what happened till I got back here. Had another repairman come out and he measured, and what it turns out is the hole for the door is crooked. So Forest River's telling me that the stairs are crooked. That's why if you look straight at the door and the stairs, it looks like the stairs are crooked. It's kind of an optical illusion. And they told me they were going to replace the stairs, but they didn't sell that size stairs anymore, so they just didn't have them. To me, that was a lack of honoring the warranty, because if the stairs are crooked, they're not installed properly, they're not mounted against the wall. There were several issues that I brought up to them that should still be taken care of, but it wasn't. So when I got it back here and I had a guy come out and, like I said, started measuring, we see that it's actually the door cavity that's crooked. So it looks like we've got holes for this slide and the door. That this slide was cut too big and the door was cut crooked. So the door is crooked, even though it looks like it's the stairs crooked. And all of the issues are still here the same. The light is still coming through the door. They put a big, thick, the answer, part of the problem with the door was light was coming in. It was hard. The hinges are very tight. The screws for the screen door, they stripped out. And I did mention that to him. He said he was going to fix that. He didn't fix that. Basically, all that was done. And I got back here. I knew it wasn't done right there, but what I think happened is there were 3 people, and 3 people were pulling me 3 different directions, telling me 3 different things. And the person that was helping me talks to my pastor and says, you know, basically, this is the best you're ever going to get it. You know, you need to go on and get out of here and get your money and stuff like that, was her advice. So I took that advice and I left. Later finding out that was probably not the best thing to do, was leave, because it wasn't finished properly. And so again, I got back here, got some of that figured out, got some of the measuring figured out, and I did some of the fixing myself. There was a leak. I'm kind of all over the place over here. There was a leak in there that I asked them to fix, and they replaced one part that they said was leaking, but it was actually the shower drain that was leaking. So all of that had to be done when I got back from Forest River. The door is still not correct. You still have to slam it. The screws were stripped out, so the screen door and the door don't close together and open together like they're supposed to. And all of this is kind of tricky for somebody who's got some disabilities in their neck and back. Coming up the stairs and trying to pull all of that in 2 sections open is difficult, much less a regular person. So we've still got all of the work. I say all of the work, some of the work that needs to be done and done correctly. I'm not picky about everything, but some of the stuff like the door and the seals, and you know, I paid a lot of money to have somebody remove all of this excess, what do you call it? The, what do you call it? Stuff, caulking. I don't know why I got the word. Just the caulking was, instead of spreading it out either with a finger or a tool like it's supposed to, they used a rag, and so it was spread basically like the whole front of the screen. And if I could post more pictures, I could show all of that. And there's lots of their thing about it is they don't care what it looks like, as long as it's usable. You know, it doesn't matter that you paid a bunch of money because you wanted a nice new looking camper and nice things. Just as long as you can use it, it doesn't matter what it looks like. So that's their policy on their warranty. And then the end of it is I'm still sitting here waiting for the reimbursements that I was promised.